Jaguars are one of the most dangerous predatory animals that inhabit the jungles of South America. For a time, people have held respect and reverence for this predator. Despite its relatively small size, the jaguar is known for its cruel nature and ferocity, making its opponents tremble with fear. Anyone who dares to cross its path will undoubtedly become the object of its anger. There are cases where the jaguar even challenges a crocodile, which intends to have the jungle master for breakfast as it descends to the watering hole. However, the story that occurred in the Amazon jungle confirms that our view of the world depends on how we want to see it. Even the most dangerous predator ultimately differs little from ourselves. If we find the differences, many of them will work in our favor. A squad of 3 Brazilian soldiers was on a boat, moving downstream of the Great River, to check for any illegal activities by loggers and poachers who were destroying ecosystems in their quest for quick profits. This patrol was conducted regularly. The Amazon in these places is extremely untamed and uncontrollable. A great deal of experience is required to tame it and to avoid sharp boulders. Javier, who had navigated the boat along the wild river many times, was not particularly worried. But this time, things were different. The previous night, the jungles were hit by a strong hurricane, and branches, broken trees, and bushes were falling into the river, making it difficult for the boat to move. He did not want to damage the ship by colliding with any boulders. Gabriel, the squad commander, was focused as he looked ahead, closely examining the water opening up in front of them. The sight he saw momentarily stunned him. But soon he regained his composure, took control of himself, and signaled the helmsman to shut down the engine. Javier was surprised by his commander's decision, as he had not noticed anything suspicious. However, he decided to obey. The boat silently glided through the water, gradually slowing down. "What's the matter, Commander?" Javier asked Gabriel, who was smoking a cigar. "Look over there, and you'll understand everything," Gabriel pointed in the indicated direction. The captain was inclined to be sparing with words and preferred not to explain if he could show instead. Let Javier see and understand what was happening by himself. Javier looked in the indicated direction, and an uncontrollable shiver ran down his spine. He saw a young jaguar clinging to a sharp boulder, as if by a thread, saving itself from death. Jaguars are excellent swimmers, but apparently, luck was not on this beast's side. Perhaps it fell into the river along with a fallen tree. The current in that part of the river was so strong that even a powerful jaguar could not handle it. Now the animal hung on the rock, like a worn-out mouse caught in a whirlpool puddle on the street. The jaguar knew that if it relaxed its paws, the wild current would crush it against the sharp boulders or it would simply drown, losing the battle against the elements. The people on the patrol boat also understood this. They could not leave the animal in distress. Their task was to guard and patrol the riverbank area, but when they had a chance to save an animal from an unfair death, how could they just pass by? Of course, they couldn't. Javier, who grew up in these parts, did not share his commander's humanitarian beliefs. He tried to explain to Gabriel that nature is often cruel but always fair. It's foolish to pity the crocodile eating the antelope, as the predator feeds on fresh meat. Why make it dive to the bottom of the river and tear algae like a cow? Javier expected the team to burst into laughter and the captain to praise him for the joke. But the team remained silent, with embarrassed expressions on their faces. The helmsman realized that his joke was out of place. He lowered his eyes and fell silent, wiping off his foolish smile. Now he was very ashamed of his inappropriate babbling. Javier blushed, as if he had done something awkward. The boat moved with the current straight to the place where the jaguar was desperately clinging to life. The stern captain had internal doubts about the correctness of his decision. And what if the jaguar gets scared and starts attacking the team? Even though everyone had weapons, their aim was not to harm the animal. But what if someone in the team gets injured? They could have shot, but the guilt would have been unforgivable. Yet simply abandoning the animal would mean condemning it to a painful and slow death. Once, during a dangerous mission, Captain Gabriel and his team found themselves in a difficult situation. Their boat was pressed against the barrier, risking being dashed against the rocks. To save his team, Gabriel made the most responsible and faithful decision. He decided to take all the risks and save his comrades. He sat on the bow of the boat and reached out to the jaguar hanging on the rock. There was a big risk of damaging the boat against the approaching rocks in such a position. The rest of the team armed themselves with boat hooks and pushed away from the barrier to help Gabriel. These maneuvers made it difficult for the captain, who wanted to take careful aim to grab the jaguar. But finally, Gabriel dared and grabbed the wild cat by the scruff. He felt that it was not a little kitten, but a formidable predator. However, the cat turned out to be not as aggressive as they had initially feared. On the contrary, the jaguar understood the man's intention and helped him by clutching with its claws at anything that could support its weight. The hearts of all the team members pounded with tension, but they realized that the jaguar would not attack them. Signs of relief and joy were evident among the team. Leo even tried to mimic how the wet predator shook itself to lift everyone's spirits. But the cat was severely injured and weakened from the struggle with the water. Gabriel decided to take it with him to the team's base so that it would not perish from hunger and disease. That's how the jaguar came to live in the military unit, was named Jaquito, and became a symbol of that brave squad. The commander and his soldiers began calling themselves jaguars, and this name became their official status. Jaquito grew into a mighty adult jaguar. He could wander into the jungle whenever he pleased, but always return to the unit. It seems that in the turbulent waters of the Amazon, this jaguar forever bonded with humans, accepting them as his brothers. It turns out that good deeds are sometimes capable of performing real miracles. Even the heart of a stern predator is responsive to kindness. So, what does it cost us, humans, to become a little more compassionate and show a little more understanding to everything that surrounds us?